I had my success and I had my years that I really had to push through the fear and all those things. 2006, 2007, 8, 9, all those years. And I did well, and I did really well for myself, and I felt really good about those. And maybe I just never set new goals, or maybe I just didn't want to go through those experiences again of like just being scared because I was scared all the time of all the tricks that we were doing that I had to do at contests over jumps I wasn't comfortable on, and not even totally comfortable with the trick now. Like now, dude, I'll do any of my tricks over any jump. I've been doing them for freaking 20 years now. Like I don't give a shit anymore, but it wasn't like that back then. We didn't have everything figured out, and it was stressful and it was scary, and I pushed through a lot of that shit. And I had a lot of success for back then, and I did really well. And that was like, do I have what it takes for the second wave of doing all this? Double backflips, body varials.
Hey everyone, it's Steve Sommerfeld here, and I'm stoked you've tuned into the Riders Lounge podcast, because this time we're bringing you even more awesomeness with one of the longest serving competition riders in freestyle motocross, and still at the top of his game. And actually, it's someone who doesn't really need an introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. It's Adam Jones. Before we get stuck into the nitty gritty, I want to thank my personal sponsors, Custom MX Graphics, Motorex Oils, GB Orthopedics, DEP Pipes, Race FX, and TCX Boots. And I also want to thank the Rothaus Brewery, which is based in Germany, for this podcast, for the Riders Lounge podcast, for keeping me hydrated with their Tannenzaepfle alcohol-free beers as I work on these podcasts. It's a tough and grueling job, I'm sure you can imagine, to research each of my guests, especially someone like Adam Jones, who has taken enough gold, silver, and bronze medals from X Games to sink a ship. But with the great taste and refreshment of a cold Tannenzaepfle, it just makes this job so much easier. It's actually not the hardest work I have to do. Some of the most backbreaking, arduous work that I have to do while having a Tannenzaepfle is playing the new TIMX game, This is Motocross, on Android, and it's also on iOS if you're an Apple fanboy. I'm really working on turning pro there, so if you haven't seen any of the live streams yet, I'm on the Riders Lounge Facebook page doing some live stream gaming. I've probably deleted most of them because there was some little hiccups with my streaming because the internet was terrible, but now I've got good internet and I can finally do some streaming. So come check it out, and I have some big news coming really soon on this new game. And if you haven't already, download it now from either the App Store or the Play Store. And I'm just giving you some notice because really soon there's a reason why you'll want to have some practice in on this game. So I was really hoping to catch up with Adam in person at Night of the Jumps, which was planned for Munich in April, but unfortunately that has been postponed until November the 1st. And knowing that he has so many good stories from his career, I figured I would still just chat with him now online, and we can get a part 2 out of him next time. As we got into this interview, Adam was talking quite openly about anything and everything. And of course, one of the topics that we transitioned to was creating his own brand, the Power Up Health brand, which focuses on health products and CBD products. And I'm stoked that Adam has actually set up a huge 20% discount code just for you guys listening here. So if you're looking for CBD products or any health products for that matter, head on over to powerup-store.com. Check the page out because actually there's heaps on there. And once you've added their tinctures, gummies, sprays, topical creams, and even there's clothing and apparel, as you go to the checkout page, simply enter in our discount code RIDERSLOUNGE20, which gives you 20% off everything. And there's free shipping over $99. So make sure you check that out. Now you can do that while you're listening to this interview in the background on your phone or your laptop. I'll put the link in the show notes for this episode as well. It's quite interesting to hear how that Power Up Health started, and Adam talks about that as well throughout this interview. And actually, Adam has been part of this entire podcast process from the very, very start. The music in the background on that chunky guitar was supplied by Adam before we even started. So thank you very much, man. And without further ado, here is Adam Jones. No, so have you had your coffee already this morning?
No. I decided I'm gonna keep the streak going. See how long I can go without it. I think I might be better without it, to be honest.
Yeah. What are you up to now? Day 5, day 6?
Today's day 6. Yeah, and I feel pretty good. It's so weird, It's always hard for me to judge how well one particular thing's working because, there's always different shit going on, and it's all right. I woke up good today, and I feel good. But is that because I haven't had any alcohol all week? I did have a wine last night, but so it's like, can I really say it's just one thing that's making a difference, or is it just collectively all things? But either way, one thing that 100% I notice is like my anxiety and stress levels have completely dropped off these past 6 days without coffee, and I think that alone is worth finding another drink and trying to, just not start my day with that. Yeah, like it gives me the kick in the butt and like I'm ready to start my day once I have my coffee. But as soon as I stop moving, it's like, I'm searching for just random little pointless shit to do on days that I really shouldn't really need to occupy myself to that extent. When you're busy, you're busy. And when you're not, maybe you should just be able to accept it. But it's like the coffee doesn't really let me accept it. And as soon as I sit still, the stress comes in and I feel really bad. So the last 6 days, well, the first 2 days, I actually felt like I was dying. Didn't think I was going to make it through, but
no way, man. No, it's got a grip on you.
It's not, I didn't feel like I was dying, but it is crazy. Anybody that's ever like done like a little coffee reset or took a break, it's 2 to 3 days of just complete lethargy. You have no energy, no desire to do anything really. Caffeine is pretty wild, and I think coffee's even worse just with everything else that it has in it. I don't know.
Man, that's so gnarly to hear that. Like, I know it. Like, I don't drink coffee that much. I only have it if I'm up for a massive road trip. Yeah. Or I just know I'm stuffed for the day and it's like, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm going to have one coffee, and I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it, but I know it's not good for you. So
yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is coffee actually isn't that bad for you. So the thing that I have a problem with is just, I guess we'll call it the addiction. I'm not in freaking recovery right now or anything, but caffeine is a stimulant. It does a lot of great things for you, but when you reach for it consistently at the same time every day and you rely on it, then it kind of has a hold on you. So that's my main thing. And I'd rather just get to the point where exactly what you said, that's where I want to be, is just use it when I need it, not every single day. Because even if I woke up on a day and I had nothing to do, it's like, I want my coffee, and no problem with that. Coffee does have a lot of benefits. It's not a negative thing to drink every day, especially if I just drink it black. So I'm not getting sugars. I'm not getting.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Well, I made the decision years ago. If I was going to have coffee every day, it was going to be black. I wasn't going to be putting, any fillers in it, just because I like to try to be healthy. And so I don't want to have ice cream for breakfast, basically, by putting all that shit in my coffee.
Yeah. Oh, come on. What's wrong with ice cream for breakfast?
That's what pretty much all of America says when they're in line wrapped all the way around Starbucks every morning, man.
Yeah, that's it. Like, like I said, I'm not into coffee that much. I definitely don't put sugar in it. I used to drink a lot of tea with sugar when I was younger. My dad used to have 5 teaspoons of sugar in his cup of tea. I was on 4, and
wow.
but I grew up with that, and that was him. that was like normal.
Yeah.
And then when I met Rach and she just saw me doing it the first time, putting 4 teaspoons of sugar in, she's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And so then when we moved in together and she was making all the cups of tea every day, she was gradually over, I think it was over 6 months or 1 year, she weaned me off of 4 sugars down to, let's say, half a teaspoon.
Yep.
And one day when I actually decided to make my own cup of tea for a change and I put in 4 teaspoons, I'm like, oh my God, that's so sweet. What the hell? And that was when everything just unraveled. And she's like, yeah, I've been doing this for so long, weaning you off sugar that I just had no idea.
Oh, it's
So
perfect though. That's like the same thing I did with coffee, man. I didn't grow up drinking coffee or like even, when I moved out, I didn't start drinking coffee till probably, I don't know, my very late 20s or maybe my 30s. And when I
okay.
first started drinking it, it was white, dude. There was no
Yeah.
coffee in there. So I did the same thing. I weaned myself off. But yeah, it's crazy. Like to me, there's a total addiction. I don't have a problem with sugar. Like sugar is cool as long as you can control yourself. But the vast majority, it's they're doing like, what do you call it? Like the meals that the death row patients get, their last meal. People do that every single meal of their life, and it's pretty wild to me.
Yeah, exactly. No, I once, like, I knew sugar was bad. I've always known that, but just for tea, it was the only way I did it.
Yeah.
But I really steer clear away of all sugars and things like that until
Yeah.
kind of like the last year or two. I've been a little bit bad.
Yeah, I still have them. Like, man, I do love middle of a summer day. I'm not even sponsored plugging. An icy cold Rockstar, dude, is freaking good. I know, like, I like them, but
yeah.
it's I'm not going to drink 5 or 6 of them a day either. I think even Rockstar would not condone that. But yeah, it's like sugars are fine. Sugars are good.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we just
that's
all
it.
have to like just pay attention to what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I'm going to go back to the ice cream thing. That's the healthiest thing you can do, I thought. Actually, when I had my first
What was having
surgery,
ice cream for breakfast?
I was having ice cream all day long. No, my first surgery was I ripped 3 muscles off my shoulder and did something else. I can't remember. Tried to do a
Yeah.
double knack over 50 feet or maybe even less. And,
Smart move.
Yeah, didn't get back on, ripped my shoulder to pieces. And so we had a dairy farm. And so we had 2 massive vats of milk full every day. And so I was drinking full cream milk straight from the vat and making 2 to 3 big thick shakes full of ice cream, homemade ice cream, of course, from Mum.
Yeah.
And that was the point that I went from a 19-year-old that was fit and no fat on me at all. And in 6 months, I saw a picture of me riding our farm quad bike with my arm in the sling, resting on my fat guts, getting around the farm. And I was like, wow.
Snuck up on you, huh?
Yeah, I thought I was taking that for calcium. Like I was only thinking of calcium. I did not think of the sugar and the fat.
Yeah.
And, but from then on, I had to think about it.
Yeah, we
now
grew
I'm a
up.
fat rider.
Well, in my family, we grew up and it was milk with every meal. Like you didn't even really have a choice in our family. And I love milk, man. I could drink milk with any meal at all, but I just stopped.
I'm with you.
Like years ago. I don't know why. Like I was confused. And I still don't really know because there's still a lot of talk on like the healthiness of dairy and how much you should have it. I mean, I know for one, it's important to have full grass-fed animals to get any of your animal products from, not grass-fed, grain-finished. And I think that's probably a lot of the problem with a lot of dairy out there now. But even still, the grass-fed stuff, like I just, for one, can't afford the shit because it's like $7 for half a gallon. And for two, like I just don't know really about dairy anymore. I love it, but milk especially, I don't drink it anymore just because I don't know.
As a former dairy farmer, I'm disappointed, mate. I'm disappointed.
I know, me too. My dad comes out for a week or whatever, and he'll go through. He used to, at least. He's not as bad anymore, but he would go through just gallons of milk in a week.
That's so funny.
Insanity, right?
Oh man, how the hell do we get onto milk already? We're
Oh,
10
dude, I
minutes
thought it
in
would
and we're
take at
already
least 20 minutes to get into milk. Straight into it.
Mate, what are you up to today? I mean, I'm actually surprised that you wanted to do this interview. It must be what, 10 o'clock in the morning there.
Yep.
It's on a Saturday. I'm thinking it's a
Mm-hmm.
family day if you're a family man. And I didn't even realize until I looked at my phone that it's the 4th of July.
It
And I
is.
hang on, why is Adam Jones deciding to do an interview today? I would have thought
Well,
you'd be
first off,
probably drunk already, setting off
oh, well,
fireworks and burning things
we'll
or
save
something.
that for 11 a.m., okay?
Okay, yep.
Now, we've got some stuff planned today, and we'll have a busy day. But lately, with the way the world is, we start out pretty slow, and there's really no rush to get anywhere. My son is at his mom's house this week. He'll come back on Monday. Link and
Yeah.
Raven are here. Kim's too, and like
Yeah.
they wake up in the morning and they just. I don't know. They just either Link will play his Switch or they'll watch YouTube or something in the morning. So we just kind of get a little bit of quiet time in the morning, usually without
Nice.
school, without anything right now. And yeah, so I just figured today's a good day. I feel good this week, and I know next week might be busy. We might actually be going out and doing some camping and some other fun family stuff. So I figured I have today. Let's get it done. That way you're not chasing me around, and that way I just don't like having it in the back of my head like, oh, I need to do this. I need to squeeze this in my busy week. I just figured, hey, tomorrow morning, not busy.
You,
Let's do it. Let's talk about milk. I'm ready.
yeah, busy week of holidays. No worries, mate. No problem. So what is your plan then? Like for this year, have you heard from anybody else about any shows
Phew.
until the end of this year?
You know,
Where are you sitting?
I'm worried for one. That's where I'm sitting. I'm really worried. I have talked to people, and as expected, a lot of things change. So I'm not really sure right now. A lot of stuff is canceled. This obviously started. It was like, oh, the immediate events were canceling, and it just snowballed from there. And it was like every week another event even farther out was canceling. So before I knew it, my entire summer was completely blank. And, Nitro had a tour I was actually really looking forward to, a North American regional tour that was super
Ah,
busy and was going to
yeah.
be good. I mean, Nitro had great success last year on their regional tour. I think, we were in mostly like smaller baseball stadiums, but, we had up about 10,000 people at every show, which is really
Oh,
good. Like,
that's
yeah,
huge.
it was awesome. It was like one of our best tours in a long time. And I think we were all pretty stoked to carry that momentum on this year. And so that it didn't completely get canceled, like right away. They're like, guys, we're not canceling this. We're going to reschedule all this. And they talked about some other dates, which I have no idea right now. I haven't heard from anybody, and I don't know if those dates are still a potential. And I can't say anything about the dates now just because, you just can't go spouting that stuff off without knowing what's actually happening. So
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't really have much hope in this year, but
Mm.
at the same time, I do have some hope. I was riding Monster Jam in the middle of all this stuff right when this started happening, and there's talk of them doing some stuff at the end of the year as well. But I don't know. Everything seems to change every week or two, so I can't really count on anything right now, and I'm hoping something will come up, but I would literally take anything. And that's going to be the problem too when stuff does start coming back, is everybody's going to be in that same mind frame. And I think it's going to lead to like massive undercutting at a lot of shows, which is, it's not good for anybody, but everybody's in a bad way right now. So can you really blame people for, trying to feed themselves or their families or keep all the things that they've worked for their whole life?
That's it exactly. Like I'm not going to get too political on this at all, but in
I
terms
will.
of the sport, definitely this sucks. Like
Yeah.
we were events where we are in events and we were the first to go and we
Mm-hmm.
will be the last to come back. Like it'll be interesting to see who's around at
I
the end
know
of it all. That's
it
the
is.
problem. So
Yeah, and I know you
yeah.
said you don't want to get political, but I will a little bit. I'm fed up with this. Like I don't 100% buy it. Like, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't buy that there's a coronavirus. I 100% buy that there's a coronavirus. I don't buy the severity. Like a lot of there's been every day it's like people are arguing on Facebook, and I don't want to argue with anybody because I am no great source of information, but I feel like I have the ability to look at both sides and, kind of say, well, that seems pretty ridiculous. Even on my own side, like I'm not married to any idea here. And I know a person that in that, like a close friend, I'm not going to name any names because I just don't think that's right. I've never asked them if I can go blasting their story off to everybody, but they had a family member, very old, that got sick, went to the hospital. During this time in hospital, he had 5 coronavirus tests and they were all negative. So succumbed to old age, whatever it was, not even really sure what the actual cause of death was, but he is on the official coronavirus count in America for coronavirus deaths. So the family is pissed about it. They're fighting with the doctors. They're saying they want this reversed. And the doctors, all they had to say was, well, yeah, he might have failed his test, but he was showing symptoms. So he is an official COVID death where he obviously didn't die from that. He was older and shit in the hospital, had 5 negative tests. So that, for one, makes me question the death count. I'm one person, and I know one person, and I've heard, not as close as this one, of 2 other instances in fairly close friends, but I can't confirm those, so I don't know. This is one that I can confirm. So that makes me wonder about the actual death count. And then the actual case count is interesting to me too, because what was everybody saying right from the get-go? They're saying, oh, well, we don't have many tests. We can't test that much. So we only said initially, oh, there's only been 100,000 coronavirus. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They weren't testing like everybody. They had these dudes that are doing antibody studies saying, look, we think the number is actually way higher for infected people. Well, guess what? They were debunked on the internet, like always is when it doesn't fit the agenda. And then now we're testing more. Case numbers are going up. Deaths are not going up. And now people are freaking out about that. And it's like, well, we're finally just testing a lot of people. And I don't know. I might be wrong and I might be an idiot. All I'm getting at is I don't fully trust what's going on here. And to say that there's a global scheme going on here sounds completely ridiculous to me too. Like, I can't believe that as well. But like, I just think it's so strange what's going on in America right now. And personally, I think it's all a political agenda to get rid of Trump. Like they don't want him, and they will, like, our lives are games or are pieces of a game that they play for shit that they want. And this is something they want. They want him gone, and all the stuff that's going to happen to us in the meantime is just going to be, a part of the game. No big deal. No sweat to them. So I hate it. I'm really mad during this time watching my bank account go backwards, not having any purpose, any drive, anything at all. It's like, it's super frustrating for me to watch this all happening to my personal life after an 18-year career of hard work. I'm watching it all kind of crumble and go away right now over what I think to be just political bullshit. And it's super frustrating to me.
That's it. There's a major problem, and that is everyone is feeling the pinch massively.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, there's nothing you can do. Like,
absolutely nothing.
It's a virus, and a virus does what a virus does. And yeah, I mean, fuck, it is what it is. And again, we're in events. We're the last ones. Like, pubs can open back up, and
well, kind of. They've actually been closing a lot of them down back in the States again. They opened them up, and a bunch of states are out actually now closing them again. So restaurants, no more dine-in, no more bars, no more nothing out in most places in America again.
Yeah, it's pretty rough over there. Like here in Germany, it sort of feels like everything's pretty much back to normal. So it's not too bad in terms of that. And then I'm talking to friends in Russia, and they're like, oh yeah, I mean, we're going to soccer games and 10% capacity of stadiums. And they're talking about maybe 50% increase. 50% of the capacity of stadiums. And I'm like, man, that's almost back to completely normal. Like, you could run events again, hopefully there. So, I'm still hopeful. I'm
Yeah, for
still,
sure. Well, we have to be. We don't really have.
I'm a realist. I'm pretty sure I know where this is heading for 2020,
Yeah.
but I am also still hopeful. We've got some events like, I mean, for you and I as well for Night of the Jumps. Like we've still got September 5 in Basel, Switzerland, October 10 Cologne, Germany, and November the 1st in Munich, Germany. So they're still on the books. They're still
Yeah.
selling.
Well, let's
So
keep our fingers
I'm
crossed
just
for those.
yeah, exactly. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because pretty much I'm just sitting at home and actually no,
Dude.
I am doing a lot of work, but it all feels kind of like for nothing, you know.
Yeah,
But
I agree, man. Like I feel the same way. It's tough to stay motivated, and it's like some weeks I'm in the gym and I'm working hard, and before I hurt my shoulder, I was still doing some riding and staying active, but there's no like I don't know. There's nothing that really makes you feel for me, at least in the
yeah,
current situation, that makes me feel accomplished. Like I'm just kind of floating. I'm doing my thing. Like there's always been, a great reward for me emotionally from going and riding a show and putting on a good performance and getting my
yeah,
paycheck and bringing it home and then coming home from that weekend. It's like, yeah, I worked, I'm
that
back, I
was cool.
contributed, and like
Yeah,
I don't have that now, and it's been tough. Like I've been up and down. Some weeks like I said, I do that and I stay motivated, and some weeks I just drink beer all week, which sounds like shit, but it's like, and
how does that sound like shit?
because it makes you a worthless asshole, basically. Like I'm just not doing anything to progress my life. Like, sure, beer's good, beer numbs the pain, but like I know why I'm doing it, and it's because I can't find like a real good feeling. I can't find that positive, just like, I did it. Today was a good day. And like, believe me, I've had
Yeah,
some good days. I'm not saying like, oh, life sucks, pity party me and everything. My family is great, and like me and Kim get along so good. It's great to be home, but it's hard to be home stress free when you didn't decide to be. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's not like I had an injury and I'm just like, okay, I got to sit for 6 weeks and then I'll be ready to go again. Right now, it's like you said, we're just all kind of floating, and we don't know when we'll be back, and we don't really have any purpose, and it's a real stressful, anxious time for me, and I have a hard time just letting go and being like, oh, 8 months of vacation, no big deal.
actually that's kind of, I mean, I'm not, because I'm I'm doing more work now with no events than when we had events. When we've got events on, you just know, like, okay, something's coming up in the next month, get ready for it, get you guys ready and tickets booked, and that's kind of easy. But when there's nothing and you're hoping and trying to work out 2021,
Yeah,
man, we're I'm so busy, and everyone's so busy. But
yeah.
yeah, for me personally, like
Well,
I'm not
that's
even
good then.
riding, so it doesn't matter. I can't even ride freestyle anymore. But
Mm.
I was thinking about it. If I was riding, would I look at this like, I've just had a crash, I've broken my leg, I'm off the bike for 2 months, but this time I'm not off the bike because I'm broken. Like I can actually enjoy it. But I guess by
Yeah,
the sounds of it, you're not
you
getting that
can't.
feeling.
And I haven't talked to anybody who can enjoy it, to be honest. Like, it'd be one thing if, let's say, if I didn't get divorced X amount of years ago and I still had my retirement savings fund, yeah, maybe I could enjoy it. But
Yeah,
since I got divorced, I've been on just a charge basically to take everything I make and invest it in something that's going to help me once I
yeah,
decide to quit. So I don't have massive amount. I don't have hardly any money saved, and I think that's
yeah,
a lot of freestyle guys now are in the same boat because the money's all but dried up basically. But either way, it's like if I had, all the money in the world, like, sure, man, I could just be like, oh, cool, vacation. But I think, like I said, the problem is none of us do. And I haven't talked to anybody who is taking it that way, as far as like, vacation, whatever, like everybody that I've talked to is in the same boat, like
yeah.
it's
I
pretty
think
rough for
I
everybody.
would say that there's one guy that I've been talking to a bit who is in that boat.
Yeah.
Squibby. Squibby is
Oh,
loving it. He is just loving it. He hasn't ridden his bike in months, I think. He's just been
yeah.
like, he's got these really cool like his house is in these deep, dark woods. And he's just been building mountain bike trails. Like, he's just riding mountain bikes full time.
Yeah.
So he's
Oh, that's
like,
good, man. I wish more
yeah,
of us could adopt that same attitude.
yeah. I mean, he's got no money, but he's just riding his mountain bike. So
I guess some people just, that's good to not concern yourself with money is that's a positive trait. And I
yeah,
don't give a shit about money. I don't give a shit about vanities and just, possessions and stuff like that. I want to be stable. I want to
yeah,
know my
exactly.
mortgage is going to be paid for, not just this month, but down the road. Like, I don't want to bounce my family around in and out of places. And I don't want, and I don't want to have to lose things, have to sell things off to survive. And I want to be able to like go on simple little vacations and enjoy ourselves. So I guess
Yeah,
that's me worrying about money. So right now I'm not going to go spend a couple $1,000s over the summer vacationing and having fun and doing all this stuff when I'm like, well, I only have X amount of thousands left right now. Like,
yeah,
when I
yeah.
look at this, I just go, bad investment, bad idea. Don't do it right now.
Yeah,
Wait.
exactly.
So that's my fault, man. I wish I could be more like Squibby with this sort of thing, but I think it
Yeah,
is tough for everybody. I've been wanting the ability to slow down for a long time now, and I can't because I have just personal financial goals set to just have a little bit of financial freedom. So
yeah.
I can't do that. But also, it's like I said, when it's not my decision to take the time off and slow down, and I know I'm not ready, that makes it really rough for me to
Yeah.
try to deal with.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. You did mention there before about like the good old days, and those days are gone. And
Oh, so gone.
I did have that question written down a little bit later, but I'm going to ask you about it now. Tell us about the good old days, because you have been there pretty much from the start. You're still there now. And the crazy thing is, you're almost exactly the same age as me, and I did not reap the benefits, you could say, of the good old days, because I was a pussy and I didn't flip until like 2012. So I missed the good old days. But
It's a
tell us
bummer when
about
you look
that.
back on it, right? And you're like, dang it, dude.
Oh,
Like, now that I flip, it's so damn easy. Why didn't I just make myself do it back then?
man, I was riding with Shui, I guess, since like 2006, and we were in the foam pit like every week. He was
Yeah.
working on real tricks. I was just doing a straight backflip over the 45-foot super kicker.
Yeah.
And I just hated the kicker. I was just going so
Yeah.
high. You can't control, well, you can control the flip, but it's just so easy to flip and to over rotate.
They're
And
harder to
I
flip than 75s for sure.
Yeah, and I just never wanted to take it to dirt. And so from 2006, he was always saying to me, "I've been talking to Krusty. They they would put you on the tour if you can flip." And that was 2006, and I never did it until
6
2012.
years
So
later.
yeah, so I missed the glory days. But yeah, tell us what it was like back then. Like, was it really full rock star life, like making good money, not giving a shit? You were young. I don't know.
It
Just tell us about
was
it.
it was pretty damn close to that, man. And I
Yeah.
hate crying the sob story all the time. And I try not to really cry the sob story too much on social media, more or less throwback to better times in my life when the opportunity arises. But it was pretty freaking awesome, man. I started freestyle in 2002, and back then we had so many IFMAs a year, and they were fun, and they kept us
Yeah.
busy. And then
Yeah.
X
I was
Games
watching them on
2004.
Fuel all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, they used to get TV coverage and stuff. And so 2004 did my first X Games, and sorry about that.
No worries.
Just kind of, that was where it all really started. 2005, 2006, 2007. I mean, it was pretty freaking crazy back then. And I don't know, like, for me, it wasn't like rock star life. I mean, I was married back then. Wish I could change that one up, but I
One minor detail in there.
we did. Like, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole talking about this, but like, I don't have an issue talking about money. I'd never talk about money to rub it in anybody's face or anything
Mm,
like that. I think it's part of life, and whatever, man. If you want to talk about it, talk about it. And if you don't. But
yeah.
back then we made a shit ton of money. I wasn't even like one of the highest paid dudes. There was guys that made much more than me back then. And I know I probably starting 2006, I'd say. What did I get? Did I get a silver in 2006, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I did. So starting about the 2006 time is when I got a really good contract. Well, I had a bunch of really good contracts. And I mean, I didn't have to chase down shows. We rode our contests, which were super stressful, but
Yeah.
still, we rode our contests. We rode X Games, we rode Dew Tour, we rode X Fighters, and I did some contests around or some demos around as well. And I mean, I would make between 500 and 600 grand every year back then,
Man,
and you didn't have to chase it like you do now, and it wasn't as just death defying as it is now either. And as
that's the
time went
problem.
on, yeah, as time went on, contracts just, they got a little smaller, which I don't blame anybody for that. It's just, it's the way it goes. Our sport went from being like really in the public eye and people were really into it to people lost interest. And that's just going to be part of life. It's something that we're just, you got to deal with.
Exactly.
You're not
It's
in control of what society deems cool or not cool. You just got to ride the wave and take it as it comes. And I think we're pretty lucky that we can, even though we're not this big time thing anymore, I think freestyle motocross will always be a good demo sport. It's always going to be a good thing to have at the county fair or to have it some event on the side or something like that. So I think there's always going to be opportunities, but
yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
I don't know if there's too much of a chance for it to ever be back. But as far as rockstar life is concerned, like it was freaking scary back there. Even though
Yeah.
we didn't have all the flip combos and stuff, like dude, these courses that we would show up to ride X Fighters mainly, they
Yeah.
were super intimidating. And like you went there and now like, okay, I'll go to a nitro event and I'll have some beers with the boys the first night. And if it's a 2-night event, we'll finish the event. We'll have some beers the next night. And sometimes maybe we'll go overboard and sometimes we won't. Dude, I seriously think the dog just walked into the room, ripped a nasty ass fart, and then left.
Yeah, it was the dog. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
seriously, blame it on the dog. But that's how it goes now. Back then, I remember going to Moscow, Russia for X Fighters, and that course it looked pretty standard, but it was a scary course, and it was hard to figure out a run on. And I remember like, dude, we were there for so many hours a day because the way practice worked is we'd ride in the morning, we'd have a couple hour break in the afternoon, not usually long enough to go back to the hotel, and then we'd
Yeah.
have more practices in the evening. And all this time, I don't know anybody else that was just cruising and having fun riding. This was like figure out our runs. How like we got to get our runs figured out. And I just remember like, dude, I would sleep until the bus was ready to pick us up in the morning, and I'd come back and hit the pillow and just go straight out until it was time to wake up for the bus the next morning. Like they were scary times, we all worked hard at it and we all enjoyed it, but it wasn't like we were rock star life out partying and just enjoying the shit out of life. Like those
Yeah.
contests, they were tough, but it was cool. It was so fulfilling to do something like that. And, I wish it would come back around, but I don't know. It would take a lot. And one of the things it would take is somebody willing to put in a lot of money to make cool courses again. And I don't really know who's going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when I look back on those X Fighters, there was some of those courses were so gnarly. The transition from the landing to the next takeoff, there was no transition. It
Yeah.
was just a
Same
full
with Dew
curve.
Tours. There wouldn't even be a flat spot. It would just be straight into it. Yep.
And like, in a way, that's cool because you're showing who the real good rider is, which is fantastic. But man, when it comes down to safety and you're trying to, I don't know if you've got to click gears or get your foot hook in or flip your levers up. Obviously, you're going to work out which tricks you're going to do, so you don't have to do any of that crap.
Yeah.
But if you've got that split millisecond where you're like, I should really be backing out of this, you can't. There is no back out. You're going for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely, man. And that made it more dangerous for sure, but it's also another thing that made it more exciting, And I think it was part of what made it what it was when it was that it was pretty freaking exciting. And I honestly, I don't know what it ever was that made X fighters throw in the towel on the full tours. I'm not sure, but I think that was a big part of it, that they stopped doing that. And obviously X Games went inside and just started putting super tiny courses together. And I mean, we went inside in Minneapolis, and yeah, we don't have much room there, but man, we were at, what's it called? In Texas, Stadium of the Americas or Circuit of the Americas. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and that was terrible, but we got all the room in the world. We had a circle course there too. So like
Yeah.
it was honestly, they just stopped putting the effort and the time into it. And I guess before that was Staples indoor. And I think a couple years of that were okay. But then I think people just really started getting bored of that. It's like, okay, circle here, circle there. Like part of, I think the excitement always was walking into a stadium or turning on the TV and just seeing this massive course with stuff everywhere. Like that sets you up to be excited.
Exactly. That's it. The good thing about Staples, was it inside Staples where the best trick was? Yeah, that was
well, yeah, Staples' best trick was inside, but also Freestyle Moto was inside the last, 4 years or something in LA?
Yeah, and that was so boring.
I think it was 3 years. Was it 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
I know I medaled twice indoor, and then 1 year I got like 5th or 6th or something like that. I think those were the 3 indoor years.
It sucks because as I just said I just said it was boring, but it's not boring because I'm fucking so pumped because all I wanted to see was just tricks at X Games, who's got the biggest ones. And in theory, you're going to see better tricks on a easier course, but it just lost that appeal. At least Best Trick, when you're watching Best Trick, it was cool because there's always that anticipation, like, what are we going to see here? One shot.
That was cool. And that stopped too, where people, I'm guessing, ran out of new shit to do, which I don't blame them. But I think those Staples courses, they worked when they were mixed in between other big courses. You know, if you followed Freestyle Motocross, you saw X amount of big courses a year where it's like, if you played your cards right on one of these big X Fighters courses, you couldn't do all your biggest tricks in one run at most times. You had to make it work. So back then it worked because we did what we could on these big courses. And then if you got to a circle jerk course, you could do all your big stuff. And then it's fun to watch because it's like, oh my gosh, a run of like everything gnarly that's unimaginable because you've just watched X amount of rounds of like, well, you know, I had to do a C-Crap Indy over this one because it was a hip and like no footed can here when it's still a fun run, but it's diversity of what you're watching. When all we're watching is dudes going around in circles and hitting 2 ramps over and over again, it does suck, man. And like, I wish there was somebody that had the money to, it doesn't suck. It's just standalone. It needs something to break it up.
That's it. No, I completely agree with you on that. And that's exactly why we came up with the free ride with the Dirt Diggers last year. I would have loved to have had you there for that one.
Yeah, I can't remember what was going on, if I had another event or something at that time. But
I think it might have, was it a Nitro tour or something? I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, basically, like that's what I was thinking is like we've, going around in circles is fantastic. Like when you can only get inside arenas in winter, perfect. That's all you can do. But yeah, to get outside again was awesome, and I'm glad we did it, and it proved that the concept works. Everyone loved it. And so yeah, that's basically what I've been working my backside off the last few months that we've been in Corona times. But
can you do one in Reno? I don't really have a good travel budget right now.
You put me in touch with the mayor or something, and let's have a chat.
I know.
See if we can find some sponsors.
I know him. No big deal.
Exactly. So back in the old days, you have invented that many tricks, and you're still doing them now, and you're still doing well in competitions. I can't even remember all the tricks, but stripper flip for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean,
guys are still doing that, and everyone's still losing their minds over these tricks.
It was an easy time to create new tricks.
I never did a stripper flip.
All right, it wasn't, the tricks weren't easy, but it took no creativity. It was just like, hey, we're doing this right side up. Maybe we can do this upside down. So that attributed to a lot of it, and the rest of it was inspirations from other people as well. Like, what was it? Dane Kennard always did turntable no hand can. I thought that was the sickest thing in the world. So I just threw a saran wrap on the end of that, and there's my little flair to it. And Brian Dowdy used to do massive no-handed Shaolins, bigger than I could ever do.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
At the 2004 X Games qualifier and X Games, he was doing them massive. He was doing almost like starfish no-hand Shaolins. It was insane.
Yeah, but they were ridiculous.
Yeah, just took that and added a McMets to it, and there's my little flair. But other than that, it was just first one to Cordova flip to dirt, and did the Shaolin flip like a couple days before X Games 2007, and stripper flip was working on that for months leading up to X Games. I actually thought in 2007 stripper flip was going to be my X Games trick. And then just last minute, I was riding at Ronnie Feist's house. Last minute, I honestly think it was like a night before I was leaving Feist to go to X Games. And I started going like, man, if I can use this little flip lever to get one foot through the bar for a stripper flip, like, why not try to get both? So I just started trying it, and I was doing little bar hop flips, and Deegan was actually there hanging out watching, and Feist was there, and I started trying to do these little Shaolins, and I think they were so little, because even that night Feist was telling me, like, he's like, yeah, dude, I honestly think just the regular bar hop looks better than trying to Shaolin. So I'm like, oh, man, and I kind of just decided not to listen to him and do a Shaolin anyways, which worked out because that was the one that got me second place in best trick, and probably had a lot to do with me getting the gold that year in freestyle.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Actually, what was the gold that year?
What was what?
Remember what was gold?
It was Loza, one of Loza's tricks.
Yeah, one of the electric dooms and
electric something or death something, or I don't know, something very emo.
Oh, poor guy. He was out there innovating, but
no, he did. He actually did some really cool stuff. I was a fan of the tricks that he was doing.
You're a fan of it, but I haven't seen you do any body varials.
No, years ago I tried some in the foam pit, and I don't know, man. I think just with a little bit of age, I didn't really want it that bad either, and a couple bad goes in the foam pit, and I was like, screw this, dude. I'm done with this stuff. Yeah. It's kind of hard, when you've had, I had all my big success around between 2006 to 2010, I'd say, like 2010. Yeah. I think 2011 was my last medal, but that was super unexpected. Okay. My main success was
What was it? What was the 2011 medal?
2011, I got silver in Staples, and I actually tied for gold with Taka, and it went to second run score, and I just, my first run, I messed up on. And then my second run, I killed it, and me and Taka tied, but he had a solid first run, so he took gold that year.
Wow.
But I just went there to do my thing. I just wanted to qualify and put a good run in on TV, and I didn't expect it. So that was that was a pretty unexpected one. But
kicking goals with both feet.
What I was going to before that is, I had my success, and I had my years that I really had to push through the fear and all those things. 2006, 2007, 8, 9, all those years. And I did well, and I did really well for myself, and I felt really good about those. And maybe I just never set new goals, or maybe I just didn't want to go through those experiences again of like just being scared because I was scared all the time of all the tricks that we were doing that I had to do at contests over jumps I wasn't comfortable on, and not even totally comfortable with the trick now. Like, now, dude, I'll do any of my tricks over any jump. I've been doing them for freaking 20 years now. Like, I don't give a shit anymore, but it wasn't like that back then. We didn't have everything figured out, and it was stressful, and it was scary, and I pushed through a lot of that shit, and I had a lot of success for back then, and I did really well. And that was like, do I have what it takes for the second wave of doing all this? Double backflips, body varials. And not to mention, this was the same time that some of my buddies started dying. So that also, took a little wind from the sails, and kind of made me just think, I think I'm content with where I'm at right now. I'll always push to be better with what I'm doing and what's within my grasp, but I don't
Yeah.
think I need to reach this far anymore.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right because you've just got to see your friends go
Mm-hmm.
and puts perspective back on what the hell are we even doing this for? Like, I know why I did it. I just did it because I loved it. And as a kid, I just loved watching Sinkmars and Hart and whoever and Jeremy McGrath and all that.
Yeah.
And I never, ever in my life ever thought I'd do it as a job.
Yeah.
And then like I got to those points. Like I never actually aspired to be a champion of anything. I love riding comps. The comps are fun, like just
Mm-hmm.
doing small comps. Um, but I never wanted to be the best. I never had that
Yeah.
goal. I always just wanted to do what I did the best I could do,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, oh man, like to do the flip. And like I said, it took me 6 damn years to do the flip because I was such a damn pussy and I always overthink everything.
Yeah.
And then when I finally did the flip, I got out of the foam pit and I went back in a couple of times purely because I was riding a different bike once with pretty shitty suspension. I just wanted to just do one flip and it was
Yeah.
shit suspension and I did fuck it up. So I'm glad I went the foam pit. And there was one other time but that was it. And I was just happy to flip all day, every day on dirt and just slowly, slowly, slowly
Yeah.
work on tricks and,
That's exactly
you
how I
know,
did it too, man.
and when I got to the point like that I could turn up to a show and to do a show, all I worked out was I needed an upright ruler or tsunami, whatever you want to call it, a backflip ruler or tsunami. Mine wasn't a ruler, definitely. It was just like a bit bigger Superman
Yeah.
in the Lego Man position, and a whip. And I didn't really spend much time on whips. So actually, the last few years before my crash, I really spent a lot of time just trying to get a whip that I was comfortable on a mobile landing because I've seen so many guys miss the landing, and
Oh,
I almost missed one. With the mesh takeoff, and yeah, I don't know, I just didn't have the technique, and fuck, man, I was like within inches of missing the landing. So I just
oh,
had this
dude. Yeah.
deathly fear of whips on
Yep.
mobiles, but yeah, like then I always thought about. I would love to try varials and I'd love to try flares and I don't know if I'd love to try a double flip, but I thought of trying a double flip. But
Yeah.
then I just thought, like, what is the point? Like,
Yep.
I'm
Exactly.
I'm never ever I never wanted to be the best, and I'm already 10 years too late anyway for those tricks to even think that
Yeah.
they're going to be the best. Why the hell would I go back in the foam pit and stress myself out again like I did?
Yep. Well,
I
in the
I had years driving to Shuey's place and
yeah.
then driving to Clinton Moore's place, like 2 hours to Shuey's, 4
Yep.
to Clinton's, and I'd drive there just sweating and
Oh
like
man, I
white
know it.
knuckles
You
and
don't
and
sleep the night before,
yeah,
like yeah.
exactly. And then you've got the two of them just calling you a pussy and saying, "Get out of the damn foam pit. I'm not going to put you
Yeah.
in there." And
We
then
yeah.
driving home just screaming at yourself like, "Fuck it, you did." Like in one weekend, I probably did 50 flips
Yeah.
perfect, but
And you're
then you
like, I'm
didn't go
gonna do
to
it
dirt.
tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. And then you get back
Exactly.
out there tomorrow, you're like, oh gosh. I
Yeah.
was pretty lucky that I had Mason, Miller, Bubs, Berlou,
Yeah,
all
you had
those
a
guys.
good
We
crew there.
and we all were trying it at the same time. So
Yeah.
we that helped to do it. And I was lucky enough just to force myself to pull the trigger early and make myself do it. But those were scary times. I mean, I had a lot of those days driving up to the place and just being like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to do this. And but doing it anyways. And then I remember being on Krusty Tour one time, and my
Yeah.
first Krusty Tour, I went over to flip. I did. We had 3 shows in New Zealand. That was my first ever Krusty Tour,
Yeah.
and my first one was good. It was at Christchurch inside, and we were on dirt. And then we went on to like the whatever their flooring was, and I started. Every flip was just more and more under rotated. And like my last flip of
Really?
that tour, yeah, I almost completely under rotated.
Whoa.
So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this isn't for me. Went back home, practiced a little bit, and then I came back and I was still struggling for the Australia tour, the next one that we did. And then it was crazy because one flip, I remember one flip, I went and I pulled and I all of a sudden like over rotated the shit out of it and was like, what the hell just happened?
Where did that come from?
And it was like snap of a finger. All of a sudden I knew how to flip. All of a sudden it was like, dude, I over rotated and I know what I did. And like, wait a minute. And I just went back. And then, yeah, on that tour, you got to remember, put this in context. This is like 2004. So I started doing one-handed flips on that tour and knack flips and whip flips and heel clicker flips all on that tour, like figured them all out on those mobiles on that tour. It was seriously like snap of the fingers. I figured it out. But what I was going to say earlier is I don't think that happens with body varials and stuff like that. You know, I see Clint, who's been doing them for how many years, and he's the man at them, and it's still
near on 10.
Yeah, and it still shakes him up a little bit. And I don't want to have tricks like that in my bag anymore. Especially now, I'm too old. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought about it since coronavirus started because I'm like, motherfucker, I really need to make some money now because I just lost a year. I'm off schedule. So I'm like, maybe I'll go double flip and front flip and everything. But the reality is,
you were thinking about it.
Yeah, for a minute. And then I'm like, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. But yeah, like I don't have it anymore. I've had a great career up to this point, and I've kept up on my riding enough to still get invited to most things and to still get to ride a lot of demos and to still be considered good at what I do and valuable asset to people's shows. So I think, that's a shift in what I want right now. And it's what I want is to continue being that rather than to win shit. But tell you what, it really messes with you to be a guy who used to win shit and used to be the man and not being anymore, It's not like I'm not crying myself to sleep about it, but man, you miss that. Like I did have that fire. I did want it that bad. And I can't blame anybody but myself. I don't want it that bad anymore.
Yeah.
But you miss it. I miss the feeling. I miss the feeling of accomplishment and success and standing on the podium at the end of the night and, doing something great.
That's the crazy thing. Like, not half the reason, but like, it must have been 2 years ago. I had a Freestyle Extreme magazine floating around in the van for probably a year or two at that point. And Rachel was just reading it on one of our drives home from wherever the hell we were going, always road tripping around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was your story, your interview in Freestyle Extreme saying, I'm riding freestyle because what the hell else am I going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's crazy because I've looked up to this guy for so long. And he's done you've done everything. And then, then to be in this position at Night of the Jumps, and I was just like, fuck, you've still got for me, the style is the best part. Like, so you've still got the style, you've got huge fucking tricks. Let's see if Adam wants to come over. And I was just blown away when you said, yeah, I'll come. No problems at all. And so last year, for those who are listening who don't know, you ended up 4th overall in the World Championship and you missed half of the events. Like, you were on the podium every single time, I think 2/3 and 2 seconds.
Got lucky. What can I say?
You got lucky, and you're telling us now that you don't really, you're not pushing it. You're just doing what you do. You're having fun. But you got to that level that you can do that. So I don't know, it's a tough one, I guess, that you're so close. But to beat the guys
that is
who are
true,
winning,
right? Because it's like there's 2 tricks, right, that I could add to my repertoire and just be back in the action. 2 tricks, but man, I don't want to do that. But to go back to that, first of all, the interview, I do feel like that. Like I have no other life skills. I'm gonna have to ride freestyle motocross until I've either, I don't even know what, until something happens and I've either made enough money to quit or until I just decide to start sweeping floors at the local bike shop. But I enjoy doing it.
Because you're not fixing the bikes.
Yeah. I just don't want to, at some point, I'd like to be able to slow down. I'd like to be able to pick and choose what I ride, when I ride, stuff like that. I can't do that right now. I have no other way to support my family. I do enjoy doing it. It is scary sometimes. I do want to get out of this, in one piece. And where else was going with that? Oh yeah, but the Night of the Jumps, dude, I've had such a blast riding those. And just doing contests again and just pushing yourself to put a run together, like just having that little bit of like, all right, here we go. We got a minute and a half. Let's do it. It's been really fun. And I've really enjoyed that. And I wish there were more contests around. I wish even if they didn't really matter that much, like, so what? Let's just make it a contest. It would be fun. I don't know, get that spirit of competition back and everything. But I don't want anybody to assume that reading an article like that, I don't like what I'm doing. Like, that's not it at all. It's a hell of a lot different than it was for me for all the years that I did it. The money's different. The sport's different. Everything is different. I for sure still enjoy it, but I think the average reader wouldn't really even understand how wide open I am all year long. Like I don't get really the time to rest. I don't really have the extra money to rest. Like I'm going nonstop all the time. And then for the last 5 years, my kid's school is 45 minutes away from me. So
that's crazy,
I'm doing, like I had a meeting point at some time, but the crooked family judges kind of screwed me on this one. But like every day that I'm home, I'm doing an hour and a half drive in the morning, or no, it's a little over an hour. It's potentially going to be more now. But anyways, I'm doing about an hour in the morning, about an hour in the afternoon. I'm trying to ride in between that. I'm trying to be a freaking dude at home and catch up on life. And it's just, I know that sounds like pity party thing, which I'm not trying to do, but it makes it hard. I just, for the last 5 years, it's like, damn, like when do I get to relax? Never,
That's it. It's real world stuff. It's not that rock star life that people think. It's you're in the real world, man. You got to do the real world things.
Kids and school runs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't mind school runs. I just mind that, that the courts allowed my son to be taken out of the school that he was in and put in another one 45 minutes away from me. I think that's ridiculous. Because for all the listeners out there, I have joint physical and joint legal custody, 50% of everything. I still have to pay maximum child support in Nevada every month. I could do all the driving to take them freaking everywhere. It's a bummer. I really got hosed on that deal, but if you're a dude in the family court system, that's what happens.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that sort of stuff. I've never been there. I hope I never ever have to be there.
You don't want to be.
It sounds horrible. So, I mean, you've got to do what you got to do, and whatever comes. So,
yep.
I'm glad you're getting it done. Either way.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible. Sounds horrible, man.
Yeah. Hey, I feel like, I don't know, life doesn't owe me anything, but be decent, work hard, things will work out, right?
Exactly. That's it. So you're not interested in new tricks. What about new ramps? Because I remember talking to you just before, maybe it was just after Nitro World Games with the Moon Booter. And I'm pretty sure you told me at the time you were not interested in that ramp at all. And then I think you got like a speed check from someone, and is it third gear to hit that ramp? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know, but either way.
I'll give you a quick update on the whole story. When we first went to use it, I didn't want anything to do with it just because it looked insane. And we were jumping it in the gear that you'd assume you'd jump it in, second gear. We did a day riding it where we just kept pulling it back. We started super small. We had the airbag lander and everything, and we were jumping it in second, and it was fine. Like jumping it in second was good. We got it back to whatever they wanted the max distance to be, which was, I think, almost 35 feet, which is second gear.
Almost 35 feet.
It's second gear just completely wide open on a 250 at sea level. And that's then, crazy. When we had it up short, I flipped it twice. I think I flipped it up to like 20 feet or something like that, which is nothing, but you're still going pretty high on that ramp at 20 feet.
Yeah.
And then we pulled it back another couple feet to where you had to start getting in the power a little bit. And the thing flipped so fast all of a sudden, because I think I got lucky the first 2 times I flipped it, and I kind of almost chopped the throttle at the right time to where the flip was normal. So then the next time I had to really give it some gas to clear the gap. So I didn't chop the throttle, and dude, that thing just went and like it flipped so fast off the ramp. I was donezo. So I bail, and like it hurt. And then we had the flat airbag after that. the next 2 days or the next day, and I tried to figure out flipping in second gear, and I just could not, man, I could not flip slow enough. So kept trying, started getting a couple where I could flip slow enough, and it was super hard to control. And then all of a sudden I over rotated one and I bailed and broke my wrist on a freaking airbag. Yeah.
Whoa,
so wasn't stoked on the ramp, but then for the next Nitro tour, flew out early, stayed at Steve Minnie's, and I rode it every single day. And Harry Bink and the guys they started jumping it in third because they're like, dude, your bike's it's lugging a little bit. So it's like, it doesn't rip out from underneath you. So I'm like, oh shit, I'll give it a try.
Makes sense.
Fly out there, stay at Minnie's. And it was like the first time I flipped it, I'm like, oh man, I can do this. Like, this is the difference I needed. So started flipping it, still wasn't pumped on it. Then they started putting it in tours, wasn't pumped on it. We didn't really get a whole lot of time to ride on it, though, was the thing. Like, it would just, there would be no practice days for this completely different ramp. And then all of a sudden showtime would come and it would just get set up and you just had to send it. So it was a comfort level. I wasn't there yet. And as time went on and they set up more practice days for us and we got to ride it some more. And then mostly like this last Nitro games that I did, we had so much time on it. We had so many days and I'd ride it all day. And then I was like, man, it's still tricky because if you do give it a yank, you're going to land on your back. But if you kind of get it figured out, it's actually really fun. So
that's cool.
You have so much time. And I think because the rotation's so slow and you don't really have to pull that hard, you kind of stay with your bike more than, a 75-foot flip combo where you're kind of, your body naturally wants to keep floating away from it. You kind of like stay with the bike. So once I figured all this stuff out, it's like, dude, this ramp is actually freaking awesome. Yes, still very scary, but awesome. So yeah, I probably would have told you to F off the first time you asked me to put it in a show, but now I'm down.
So that's what I'm thinking here. Like, I'm always thinking about the future of freestyle and it's had that huge wave up and we're on a pretty big one down where no one really knows where it's going to go, how it's going to go. Is new ramps for you? Like, is that something? Because you sound excited right now talking about it. Like, even if you're just doing the same tricks off of a new ramp, is that okay? Or would you think then we've got new ramps, I can do something else? I don't know. Like,
yeah, it definitely opens up some possibilities. The only bummer about it is it's such a big ramp that it also, consequences for mistakes also get ramped up a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you look at world games and stuff like that, all right, guys are definitely doing new tricks on it for sure. And even a guy like me who doesn't want to do any new tricks, like I can do my other tricks better on that ramp than I can do on any other ramp. So if nothing else, it does provide a different thing to fans to see, like, oh my, instead of seeing the same dead body flip you've seen 1,000 times, now you're seeing that's the biggest one I've ever seen, which
is cool.
That's how you get fans, right? But honestly, more than new ramps, I just think we need to do, I said it earlier, I think courses need to come back, even if it's not anything that insane, just something visually appealing and different, I think is what could provide some sort of resurgence to the sport. But is that ever going to happen? Are we ever going to have the space? Anybody willing to put the funding in? I don't know.
They're the big questions. They're the big ones. That's what I'm working on, and I'm sure other people are as well. So hopefully, hopefully together we can all make it happen. Hopefully.
Yeah, X Fighters was supposed to come back this year. You knew that, right?
Yeah, in Valencia. And, so that's a shame.
They did. And
well, that was last month. It should have been on in June, right?
Should have been on in June, and then they had another date scheduled for either July or August. I'm not sure, a backup date that they were hoping all this shit would be blown over, but that canceled too. So bummer. And I don't know how much truth there is to this. You'd probably know more than me, but I heard Valencia this year, and then there was talk or a potential of a tour next year.
Oh,
so if there's any truth to that put us back another year.
Yeah, I heard rumors, but I honestly can't even remember who told me that. And whether
it's same deal. It's
true, I don't know.
Kind of like Honda's coming out with a fuel injected CR250.
Yeah, you got a better
probably
chance
just
of
read it
seeing.
on Facebook somewhere.
You got a better chance of seeing the Honda electric bike out before the fuel injected two stroke.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I know. I was totally joking about that.
yeah. So what's the future then for Adam Jones? Obviously, you've got your businesses up and running now. Like you're thinking ahead there for CBD.
Yeah. We do. We have them up there. The CBD thing has been a nightmare, man. Just
Really?
because it's so difficult to deal with banks and CBD, because it's still a lot of them. They still put it in the same box as actual marijuana.
Oh,
So
okay.
they just don't want to work with it, and it's been difficult. And then we had just a
What do you
trademark
mean,
issue.
like with the banks? Like what's the real problem?
So
Like what are you finding?
banks are federally insured, and federally, I think CBD is still. I'm not sure. I know that they have separated it, but I think it's the close relation to marijuana, which is obviously I think a Schedule 1 narcotic. The close relation to it is enough for them to say we're not dealing with it. So
To
I
get
don't know.
credit and things like that to build your business, is that the
Well,
problem?
yeah. So no, the main thing is payment processors,
Okay.
and depositing banks.
Okay.
Nobody wants to process payments for him. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that are considered high risk. Both of our businesses actually are considered high risk businesses, so we can't use typical processing solutions. So that made both of them difficult from the get go. But hey, whatever. We jumped straight in the deep end and we had to figure it out. And we had a couple trademarking
99%.
issues.
Sorry?
We had a couple trademarking issues with the CBD company initially, which we could have thrown money at and we could have argued and went to court over. But you know what? There was something about the brand that me and Kim both were like, kind of like, man, I don't know if that's exactly how we want it. So we just said, screw it. We'll write the letter. We'll say, sure, we're going to cease and desist and with the name use, and we're going to come up with something else, which we did, which now we're super pumped on. Power Up Health, which is, that's the official name, Power Up Health, but Power Up, like we like it, like the way it looks. It's clean and it's CBD for now. And like we're partnering with somebody coming up soon to do a couple like nutritional supplements, and we want to kind of branch into that and just be a health brand. We wanted to we want to do the CBD, the stuff that can actually improve your recovery. And we want to have the other stuff that can improve your recovery from your day-to-day workouts and your day-to-day stuff like that. So we want to have a health brand, and it's been super slow since we've came back, but that's to be expected. It's a weird time in the world right now, and we've definitely thrown everybody that's following us for a loop with it. But, I don't think either of us, I know I get frustrated a lot easier than Kim does about this stuff, but neither of us never assumed that within 6 months, a year, 2, 3, even 4 years, that these businesses are going to be killing it. We just wanted to, while we had other things going on, we wanted to grow them. And then, eventually they're making money, and we have things on the side that are making money for us. And Kim's website's actually doing really good. Like her sales are picking up, and she gets almost daily sales, sometimes 2 or 3 in a day, and some days she has none also. But yeah, that one, I don't know if anybody knows about that one, but that's it. It's like an adult toy store. It's called lovelittleblackbox.com. It's lingerie and toys and all the fun couple stuff, and she runs everything on that site and the Instagram, and I think she does super kick ass on that. And just kind of the persistence over the past year that she's done with that is now a year in, not even a year in, is definitely, it's shown that it has improved how much traffic the site gets. She gets a couple hundred people a day on the site, which is awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And to compare that to something else, Power Up CBD right now gets about 15.
Oh, come on, after this podcast, it could even be 16.
Dude, if it's 16, my gosh, I hope so. But yeah, these are long-term.
Of all the people, I'm sure the thousands and thousands that listen to this podcast, I'm joking. But, everybody has to go to this Power Up CBD, or just got to boost Adam's numbers right now, and then you'll feel good,
Just give me one day in the 20s, please.
You'll be sitting at home looking at your numbers. Yeah, killing it now. Yeah.
Well, I'll drop a website link, and it's powerup store.com. That's the website. The other one is lovelittleblackbox.com. There's my sponsor
There's the
plug for the day.
Perfect, no problem. Yeah, I'll send the invoice later.
No problem. I don't have any money to pay it, but go ahead and send it if you want.
Yeah, no, that's it. And it sounds like the banks won't send it to me anyway. So sounds like I got full chance of anything there. But
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with starting any business, and yeah, it's probably better if you started it 10 years earlier. But if you didn't,
Always.
at least you've already started it. And
Yep.
99% of success is just turning up. So
Yep. Well, and you know what? I know I didn't, before I got divorced, I saved pretty much everything. I mean, my ex spent a lot of money that was unnecessary, but hey, that's part of the deal, whatever. I saved everything. I figured someday I'd figure out a way to use my money to invest in my future and in something after freestyle motocross. So I just saved, and I didn't invest in anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't know what to do. And all I had was a pile of cash, which felt pretty nice, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And through 2.5 years of divorce, lawyers, and then final payouts, first of all, anybody that tells you it's 50-50 is full of shit. But between all of that, between all of that, like everything I had saved was pretty much gone. You know, I had enough to put, I had enough to put a down payment on a house, and then I had a little bit of extra. So I said, you know what? I never did this before. I'm going to start doing this now. I took every penny extra I had and I invested in rental properties in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they've been great. You know, they're super good cash flowing. And then, you know, we made another investment after that. And then now we've invested in these businesses, which the businesses are making absolutely nothing profit for us right now, but the potential eventually. So what I'm getting at is, I never made investments before. I mean, we can say, I wish I would have started doing this 10 years ago, but had I done this 10 years ago, I would have lost everything that I did in the divorce anyways. So I kind of, as much as it's a bummer that I don't have myself in order the way I'd like to be right now and that I lost so much, well, you know, I'm starting over now and I'm doing all these things and they're, you know, they're my things. They're buying Kim's things, but like I don't have the same relationship with Kim that I had with my ex. And we talk about this stuff all the time, and it's just like we were young and we both went through kind of a similar relationship in our past lives.
Yeah.
And you know, we look at it now and we just think like we were young, we thought we were doing the right things. We didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't really know what we wanted, and we didn't really know what relationships should be like. So there was like a whole lot of differences to the past life and the previous life. But either way, the point of my story is I didn't start back then. And I could say, damn it, you know, I wish I would have started invested 10 years ago. I'd be so dialed and set. But the reality is I would have probably lost all that too. And now I've started this and I have my stuff and I'm moving in the right direction and things are good. You know, I'm building from what I have, and I don't have the same opportunities with, you know, the insane cash flow that we had back in the day to make things happen, but I'm going to make things happen. I'm going to keep working hard for, I don't know, five more years was the plan, but it's probably going to be 5 more years starting next year now after this year.
After Corona, 5 more years. Oh,
so,
man.
I'm happy with it, man.
Yeah, I actually listened to the Punk Rock Parsons interview that you did with him, and I was listening actually quite a lot to you talking about the rental properties and all that as well. So it was just interesting that you brought that up again. I mean, it's not like I've got a house in Australia that we had, but we've just rented out while we live in Europe. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like same thing. Like I wish I did this 10 years ago. I still haven't, you know, I haven't branched out, and I'm very risk averse when it comes to my money. Like I
Me
really,
too, man. Me too. So this was hard for me to do.
Biggest tight ass you'll ever see. But I'd love to just like get into like a couple of properties and just rent them out and whatever. Yep. But why did you choose Pittsburgh then?
Well, I grew up in Pittsburgh,
not there.
Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not there, but it is where I grew up. And when I first started looking, I said, all right, man, I have this much money. Like, I want to get a property. And I looked around the West Coast, and the West Coast is freaking expensive, right? So if you want to buy a single family home, even if it's in kind of a trashy area, you're probably going to pay 250, 300,000. Your return, I don't even know. I didn't price out totally. I just looked at the numbers for properties. So let's say your return per month for rent is $2,000, and then after all your expenses, you're down to maybe a realistic $1,500 a month on $250,000-300,000 house. Well, I started asking around in other states, and I asked my sister, who still lives back in Pittsburgh. I was like, "Hey, do you know any real estate agents? You know anybody that's good, that knows the area?" And she's like, "Yeah, I have a friend, a longtime friend. I went to school with her. She's super smart. She does really well in real estate." So I started talking to her, and I'm looking at all these places, and the pricing's insane. Like,
really,
I got one duplex, so 2 units. I got one duplex for $80,000.
What?
Yeah, I put 35 into it to make it really nice. And I mean, that place now rents for, we've rented out in bad times. So winter's a bad time to get renters. You can't really get max rent in winter because you're kind of just getting whoever is actually willing to move in winter in Pittsburgh. So technically they should rent for a total of $1,800 a month, but we're getting $1,650 a month, which is good. So I got $1,650 a month coming in off of $115,000 investment.
Yeah.
And then the other one was 110 with about the same return. So I just was looking at these and going, man, like I can really rent these out for this amount and I'm buying them for this amount. So I did that. And then, I've had those for almost 2 years now, and they've been great. Yeah, I mean, I have my expenses that pop up here and there, but the cash flow covers it, and everything's been really good with those. So I now, just kind of trying to read up a little more on it and realize, you know what, I probably did do that the wrong way. I probably shouldn't have bought those outright. I probably should have put a mortgage on them, and like I could take, because the game is take $100,000 and buy 4 units with, or $25,000 down and let the renter pay them off. You're going to end up with the same amount of rent in your pocket per month. And then after 15 years, your renter has paid them off and you have now 4 properties worth $100,000 a piece. So I don't know. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but it was, I guess, just the courage to start and just say, you know what, I'm going to do this and see it work long enough that I was able to say, you know what, this is good. This is a good investment. This is something that I think is fairly safe if I do it right and don't, over leverage myself too much. I think it's a good thing. So I'm learning still. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've been trying since this has all been, since we've been doing absolutely nothing. I've been trying to get my hands on another unit. That's kind of basically been the only freaking productive thing I've done in the last 2 months. So we're moving. I'm in contract on another one now, and hopefully that'll be a good deal as well. And I don't know. I'm trying, Steve. I'm trying to make the most of what I have left.
Yeah. whatever the judge let you have at the end of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it sounds like you're a lot smarter now than before. By the sounds of the way this conversation has gone,
Steve, let's not use the word smart. Okay.
Okay. Then you've improved. You've improved.
There you go.
On the outlook from before until now.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully. Are you actually riding? That's probably the big question. Are you riding
we didn't
at the
even
moment?
talk about this. I separated my AC joint in my shoulder. And I think I might have broke my hand too, but I only got my shoulder x-rayed. So I've been out it'll be 6 weeks on Wednesday. So a day after this podcast comes out, it's 6 weeks that I've been injured.
Come on. There's been videos coming out with trick tips. I thought you were still riding.
So the last trick tip was the last time I rode.
Okay.
Yeah. And what happened is I took the kids to this little bike park in Reno, and it's a super mellow downhill thing. I took my hardtail, and I didn't even know if I was going to be able to ride because I had all the kids there. Like Raven wanted to go there on her bicycle, and like, you got to stay right with her. She's 5 years old and she's a wild one. So we got there and I just did a couple laps on they have like a little downhill strider thing that she was ripping on. So I do 2 laps with her. The boys are, they're all going and doing runs on the bigger stuff. And a couple of my buddies showed up. So the boys come up the same time I come up and I'm like, hey guys, go down a lap with Raven. I'm just going to go down the trail. So I do it once and I'm like, oh, that's pretty fun. Super mellow. Dude, there's two there's 2 jumps on it that are like even worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And I do one, and then I do a couple more runs with Raven. And then same deal, we all come back up at the same time. So I'm like, hey, dude, stay with Raven. I'm going to take a run with my buddies one time. So I'm in the middle of the pack, one buddy in front, one buddy behind, and we're going down. And then there's like a big right-hand bull turn. And keep in mind, this is all going downhill. So like you're going fairly fast. Right-hand bull turn, and then out of the bull turn, there's a roller into a left. And then that's where like the 2 mentionable jumps are.
Yeah.
I come out of the right-hand turn, and I'm like, all right, 1 crank, and I'm going to pump this and then have enough speed for those jumps. Dude, and I just go for that 1 hard crank, and the fucking chain blows off.
Oh.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, I'm just doing a nice, simple pedal. It was like I went for like 1 gnarly crank, you know? So it was like I eat the bars, and I go down like just, dude, I was on the ground before I knew what the hell happened. And I think what happened was that roller in front of me, I just body slammed that thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, I get up and I'm like, I'm all right. I hang out for a little bit and I'm like, I'm hurting pretty bad. We got to go, guys. So I actually loaded the kids' bikes up, and then by the end of the night, I couldn't lift my shoulder. I ended up getting an x-ray. There was a AC separation, and it's still, dude, it's gnarly. I had some people telling me, hey, 2 weeks, you'll be good. And like, I'm not in any pain really, but like I have no strength. So I've been working on that. Been trying to just get in the gym every day and really work that, and just do saunas, I've been using like some more infrared light things, infrared light therapy when I'm sitting on the couch, and lots of CBD cream, and
just
was taking a lot of ibuprofen, but not so much ibuprofen anymore. But that was a bummer.
I found out about the ibuprofen problem after my hip. Like my stomach is not good. It does not like ibuprofen. Not as much as I was taking it. Like to even get out and walk and do stuff. Like I was chewing on them like M&Ms or whatever.
Yeah, I used to take them a lot too. Just with all the riding I was doing, something was always hurting, and then finally I was like, you know what, this really can't be great for me. So stop doing it. And apparently. It is helpful for certain things, but it also causes a lot of issues. So I do use ibuprofen when I need it, but if I don't need it, I just avoid it.
Yeah, I've got to the point where I need it, but I just know it's doing more damage inside that I'll just deal with the pain, and when it gets bad enough, then I just go in for the new hip. So I've just got to that point. Like I've just dealt with it. I'm like, fuck it, then I'll just get the hip, because like, the ibuprofen, as much as I was taking it, it wasn't too good. It's not good for you.
No.
Man. So actually coming all the way back then to the very, very start, this is when I was saying, if you're injured in Corona times.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was thinking, well, it's kind of like having a holiday without being injured, but you're having the holiday, you are injured, you're not even riding, you're not even doing what you really want to do anyway. That's why you're just on this downward spiral.
When this all first started and events started canceling, it's like we were talking about, like, oh, it's a forced vacation. I wonder if it'd be better if you were just hurt and you couldn't do anything. Well, let me tell you,
That's why. So now that because we didn't establish that right at the start, now I understand, and it didn't work out that well. Like, I mean,
I wasn't riding a whole lot before this, just because it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to wear out all my shit. I'm going to spend X amount of money on fuel and new parts and everything, just for what? Because I didn't even have a time frame. I was like, if you give me a month, if you gave me a week and said, hey, you got a show in a week, shit, yeah, I'll be ready. But like, if I knew, hey, stuff's potentially coming up in a month, like, no problem. I'll start riding then. But until then, like, for one, why risk your body, which that didn't really work out for me. For two, why burn up your stuff? And for three, like, I don't even know what for 3 is, so I guess it's only 1 or 2.
But for what? But for what?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that sucks. Well, I mean, at least on the other hand, you've got plenty of time for the future and the businesses and the investments and thinking about what you're doing, and hopefully the break helps in the end, one way or another. Hopefully you become clearer in the mind for the future life outside of freestyle. If you've only got a 5-year time frame, which
Yeah.
I'm guessing if you're anything like me was always 5 years. Like I always said,
No,
I'll ride for another 5 years and then I'm done. Then
see,
I
I
got to
never. This
30.
is the first time I put a time frame on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought 30 was more than enough. But then back then, when I was 20 or a bit older, I was like, anyone that's 30, like they're almost done and it's all over.
Yeah.
Just go and get into the real world like everybody else. And then I got to 30 and realized that I was having more fun than ever. And I think
Yep.
at 32 or 33, just before my crash, like that was my best year. My best
Yeah.
year was then. And I'm like, why would I stop now? I'm going to 40. If I can get to
Yep.
45, I'll go there.
Yeah, it's like, honestly,
things change.
the only thing I want with this 5-year deal is just I want to be able to at least slow down and do things on my own terms. Like, I love riding, man, and it gives me. I especially notice this now that I have no sense of purpose with nothing to do. It gives me a sense of purpose, and like the days that I'm super stressy and stuff like that, like I tell you what, one good day of riding up, even just at my practice spot and maybe making a cheesy little video about it, it gives me just a feeling of satisfaction. And I like it when I have a good day. I like doing this. So I don't need to stop. I'm not like dying to get off the bike. I just want to hustle for the next 5 years. And then I don't know, like what am I going to do? What is going to provide me with any purpose that can even come close to what this has after this is done? And I tell you what, from sitting around and doing nothing right now, I don't know if there is anything. I can work out, I can eat healthy, I can be healthy, I can, take in information about health, which I enjoy. I enjoy health, but like that doesn't do it for me, like riding a dirt bike does it for me. Yeah, well, I don't think I'll ever be king of the gym. Let's not go that far.
Yeah, I can completely agree with you because I've been forced into that position and it sucks.
Yeah, well, that's not giving me much hope, dude. So I'm gonna go work out my shoulder now that you said that.
Keep
gotta make sure I can get back on the bike.
Man, that's like it sucks. Like it sucks when it's forced that you just can't get back on. And it, like I just think now, like I wish I did the things I wanted to do on a bike back then. Like when I was saying I wanted to try body varial and I wanted to try all these different things. I think I had 2 attempts at a vault at Clinton's house and they were horrible. And I didn't.
Sounds like mine at Miller's house.
Yeah, and then actually before Tucker did the Cali roll, because I did a lot of seat bounce, takeoffs, holding on, doing like road overs and road over strippers and whatever. And I said to Clinton way back before Tucker, I'm like, I reckon I could do the vault, but just holding on to the rear fender.
No way.
and Clinton's response was, "Oh, fuck off. That would be so no, don't even think about it. You're not doing that in my foam pit." And then I thought about that trick for like 6 months and I was like, no, Clinton told me it's crap. I'm not going to do it. It's shit. So I never did it. And then I was watching
X Fighters. Dude.
I was watching X Fighters 1-3 in the morning time, on a laptop, and Tucker just did that trick that I was thinking about. that Clinton told me was shit.
The super dumb one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, now sitting here in 2020, I'm just like, wish I tried that. But whatever, you can't change it. So it is what it is.
Agreed.
So yeah, no, man. Well, I guess I've probably used up more than enough of your time on International Will Smith Kicked the Aliens' Asses Day. So thank you so much.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else at Independence. Okay, you got rid of the English and all this sort of stuff. But I'm surprised that you joined me on.
No, hey man, I'm happy to do this. This is my 3rd podcast. My first was super rough. It just didn't feel like it flowed. I felt like I never wanted to do another podcast again. Then Doug hit me up and I did that one with him tentatively, and I really enjoyed it just because, we're just dirt bike dudes that love freestyle, that talk about the life that we live. And, I live in Reno, Nevada, and all my buddies that I moved out here from Pennsylvania to hang out and ride with, quit riding. So
Yeah.
I don't have anybody to talk about this shit with anymore.
Hey, you can go play golf
nice.
though. You can go
Yeah,
play
dude,
golf.
I've tried that, man. I spend more time looking for my ball.
No, man, but honestly, I listened to the one with punk rock. It sounded awesome. So
I really did enjoy that one. No. Like I said, that was the one that I did that one, and I was like, oh, you know what? This is fun. I like this. So I was happy to do this. And if you ever are short guys, we can just we'll just dive into old days of freestyle motocross, part 2. Adam Jones complaining about how good life used to be, part 2.
Exactly. We can find out really why you were called Angry Adam.
Oh,
didn't even touch on that on this one.
Do you not know that?
Going to.
Are you kidding me? We can't tell the people now?
No, because I really like the whole idea of this, why I wanted to do the podcast was at events, getting the guys like having a beer, sitting down and doing this in person. It's going to be way more fun than, however many thousand kilometers away. So
all right, we'll save it for that one. But I just want to preface it by saying, do you know who got me into freestyle motocross? Who got me my start, my first event, and took me around?
No, I don't.
You don't even know that?
No.
Should I not say it?
No, not now. Now we've got to give a reason for people to come back, because I think they're already starting to stop coming back to listen to these things. But
all right, next time we'll talk about my origin in freestyle motocross, where I got started. There's a big name. There's a big name in freestyle motocross that actually was the reason that I got started actually competing.
That's cool. I'm glad you said that, because that was my...
Well, now people are just going to research it in between, and they're not even going to...
No, they're not. Don't tell them to shut up. Don't research. Just
Google is down, folks. Do not go there looking for information.
Exactly.
Fake news.
Exactly. It is. Come back here every 2 weeks and you'll find out. No, actually, my third question that I had written down for this, which completely went off in tangents all over the place, was how did you get into FMX? So I'll leave that one. We can do the next one in person when Night of the Jumps is back up and running September 5th in Basel.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep till then. I just want to tell the damn story.
I don't think anyone can sleep because they'll be waiting to hear it. So awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us anyway.
No problem.
Hopefully
dude.
It wasn't too boring for everyone.
Nah. Well,
awesome for me.
I guess I can't speak for them.
Exactly. No, it was awesome for me. So I'm stoked you can do it and have fun today with the family and the celebrations.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me on. Had a blast talking, and I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Absolute legend. All right. See ya.
Later.
There you go. I think Adam has just sold this better for you to come back and listen to the part 2 of the Adam Jones story in the future. I really want to find out about this Angry Adam story and how he got into freestyle motocross, because that's all I ever heard about from the old TV shows more than a decade ago. Angry Adam, he's going huge, Angry Adam. So I want to know, where did that name come from? I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Rothaus Brewery, based in the Black Forest region of Germany. They don't make cakes, but they do make some of the best damn beers you'll ever taste. And in particular, the alcohol-free Tannenzaepfle beers, which taste just the same as the real deal. Without their support, we probably wouldn't even have got to this many episodes, and so I can't thank them enough for helping me out here and bringing you more stories about freestyle motocross and keeping the dream alive. Check the links in the show notes from this podcast on where to find a Tannenzaepfle near you all around the world. After you've ordered a new box of Tannenzaepfle beers, head on over to the powerup-store.com and pick up all the CBD products you need to heal up and feel better. Adam has offered for all of the listeners here to try out any of the products with a huge 20% discount. And the discount code is RidersLounge20. Simply add it to your cart as you go to the checkout on the online store for 20% off and free delivery over $99. Thank you again for tuning in, and to help others find out about this podcast or to get some of the discounts, please leave a nice big 5-star rating. And if you can leave a review in whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, it would help so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you soon.